More coof news, more bad coof news. It's an accelerated process. It's not slowing down anytime soon, and unfortunately, all of our worst fears are kind of being confirmed at this point. Justice memo backing mandatory COVID shots is absurd. Religious liberty group claims that is true. That is true. We're going to reference a Department of Justice memorandum that is mandating federal employees to get vaccinated. Okay? But it's just the people for the government, right? It's just where it's going to stay at the moment. Nobody said anything to the contrary, right? Nobody's even broached the topic of forced vaccinations on the populace, right? Department of Justice memorandum claims government and private corporations can mandate that employees be vaccinated against the CCP virus, also known as the novel coronavirus, even though federal law specifies the contrary. Interesting. Why would the Department of Justice, knowing the Constitution and the laws that are in there, say that, you know what, yeah, if you guys mandate your workers get the jab, don't worry about any repercussions, because we'll just let it slide. Okay, good, be fine, awesome. In an 18-page memorandum released July 27th to support President Joe Biden's direction that federal employees be required to be vaccinated or face stringent testing and masking requirements, turns around interpretation of Section 564 of the FDA Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act and its stipulations regarding drugs that are issued under emergency use authorization. That's why everybody's a little bit nervous about what is happening with the vaccine, because it's still under emergency use authorization a year and a half into it. And now we've had the vax available for 8 months at this point, right after the election, a week after the election. Funny timing again. We conclude, consistent with the FDA's interpretations, that it does not. This language in Section 564 specifies that certain information be provided to potential vaccine recipients and does not prohibit entities from imposing vaccination requirements. Interesting. So the DOJ is saying one thing, and the Religious Liberties Group is claiming another. Now, if they take this to court, this could be the case. This is the one that we're kind of waiting for, because the definitions for HIPAA, which allows private business to do whatever it wants, and then you got what the government can do, because they're controlled by the Constitution and the different laws that they pass, because they have jurisdiction over state employees. This, if these two groups decide to take it to the courts, this could be the landmark case. This will be where a lot precedent gets set, and I hope we're on the victorious side. But right now, yes, like I said, it just sits at the federal level, okay? It's still scary. It's still not terribly reassuring. And then you got the labor unions mandating their employees to get the jab. So what's the incentive to really start mandating mandatory vaccinations? I don't know, but I can really see it happening, mostly because, yeah, Joe, just before the weekend, he brought it up. Yep, he brought it up, and just like many other things, it was discussed the first day, and then not that long after, and especially this week, it's been, no, we're not thinking about that, and then the very next day, yeah, we're actually going to be doing that, because what we have here, the Biden administration, national COVID-19 vaccine mandate, not under consideration at this time. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, we've seen this go. The fact that this even has to be a topic of conversation, something that gets brought up and isn't immediately just totally dismissed, we're approaching the point of no return. White House on Friday said President Joe Biden and other top administration officials aren't considering a national COVID-19 vaccine mandate at this time. A national vaccine requirement is not under consideration at this time. That's where we are with that, Deputy Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a press briefing at the White House on Friday. Biden was asked a question by a reporter about whether states and municipalities should adopt a COVID-19 vaccine mandate, to which he replied, "I don't know that yet. Nobody's told me. I haven't got my update yet. Stop hassling me," triggering speculation that the federal government may be concocting a policy. Just take a look at the other countries around the world. It's only a matter of time before this topic gets broached and some sort of a passport comes, because yesterday was that yesterday or the day before? All of these stories start running together because they're all equally horrendous. Vaccine passports, the idea is getting floated out there. Rochelle Walensky, head of the CDC, who is responsible for all of this, she's floated the idea that vaccine passports may be the future. And now Biden's saying, not at this time. No, we're good. Okay, how far along the road are we towards ending up like Australia? What I'm seeing going on over there is fucking horrific. Okay, you had some smooth brains at the outset of this, like in around October, November of last year, saying that, if we would have just handled the virus like Australia did, we would have been so much better off. Well, for one, it's an apples to orange comparison because Australia, I'll let you in on a little geographic knowledge. It's an isolated island country out in the middle of fucking nowhere. So it's pretty easy to just isolate. And yeah, they beat the virus. They've done it so well, they've had to do it 3 times. And now Sydney is under lockdown again, where you have to stay at home. And they're making sure that you stay at home this time, because they're sending in the fucking military. And they're going door to door to make sure that their policies are adhered to. It's horrific. This is absolutely horrific. Australian soldiers are joining local police in New South Wales to enforce a coronavirus lockdown in and around Sydney as authorities try to tamp down the latest outbreak of cases to more infectious Delta variant. Killing anybody else? These are questions that don't get answered. Starting Monday, some 300 unarmed soldiers. What are the armed ones still out there fighting emus in the outback? Will begin patrols in Sydney, a city of 6 million people. They will be knocking on doors to ensure that residents are following strict stay-at-home measures. The Australian broadcaster ABC reported. Fucking Christ. On Wednesday, Sydney extended a lockdown by a month till the end of August. Oh my god. Oh my god. Military in the streets. Everybody's under house arrest. I'm at a loss for words. Honestly. I know Australia started out as a prison continent, a prison country. I didn't think it would end up becoming one as all this shit starts to unfurl. On Wednesday, Sydney, yes, extended its lockdown. Despite those measures, New South Wales, the state where Sydney is located, is reporting 170 additional cases traced to a man who caught the virus but failed to self-isolate. Okay, so what's your solution? Tell everybody to just go home, and if it's a hell of a lot more transmissible, making people stay in homes. And a lot of people don't live in detached homes. Lots of people live, especially in Sydney, in tiny hotel-sized apartments. You think sticking them in a room that big is somehow going to make your caseload go down? I guess so, because they've tried it before and it's worked so well. They've had to reinstate it 3, 4, 5 times at this point. Oh boy. But it's just one state at a time whenever a case pops up. The military's help is needed. That is a statement I've never thought I'd have to say. To enforce the restrictions because a small minority of people thought the rules didn't apply to them. Not these rules. Okay. And I'm getting to a point, I think I've already gotten to this point, where you have to take a look at some of the rules that are on the books and realize that some of those rules are not necessary whatsoever. If you catch my drift. Military's help is needed to enforce the restrictions because a small minority of people don't believe the rules apply to them. New South Wales Police Minister David Elliott told, oh my god, another person in charge telling people that they're not sacrificing enough. So now we're going to put the military in the streets to make sure that you stay in your house. Okay, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Let's get to this fucking dickhead because, he has the keys to the castle and he's not going to be giving them up. And he has quite lofty expectations of how they are going to be returning back to normal. So they don't have to lock down again for the fucking, baker's dozenth time. He imposes 60 to 80% vaccination targets to reopen and lift restrictions. Yeah. And it'll start out at 60 to 70%, and then magically it'll start creeping up to 85, 90. Then everybody should have the jab, regardless. It doesn't much matter because you are just killing grandma. But meanwhile, the assholes in charge, the police chiefs, anybody who's dumb enough to fucking enforce this stuff, they haven't missed a paycheck this entire time. You've seen the elites in America. They've been able to just go sit shoulder to shoulder at a funeral while other people have had to watch through fucking plexiglass, watch their grandparents or parents pass away. It doesn't affect them whatsoever. They show up, they put on their mask for the camera, and then as soon as the camera turns off, they just take it off and they go about their lives because they have access to the best medical care out there. Or maybe they just realize the risk to them and act accordingly. But then for the rest of the unwashed masses that are out there, we'll just put these lofty expectations out there. We'll put those lofty goals out there in order to give you back your freedom. And that's not how it works. And you keep down this slope, you keep going down this path, you're going to find out something you don't want to, because there have been some brave police officers and some other law enforcement officials who have decided that these are really stupid rules, okay? There was the sheriff, I think it's Los Angeles County. He's like, yeah, no, we're not going door to door. We're not fucking enforcing these mask mandates. I've made reference to it before, but police officers in France, and I'm thinking Italy as well, one of the countries over there, they joined the protesters because they're done with this fucking shit, okay? It's here. It's queer. Get used to it. If I can repurpose an old slogan, I'm gonna have to live with this shit, okay? I think that was always the goal. It's just, I really don't think that we're on the same playing field here, okay? Because government officials, they're talking, oh, okay, we just want to return back to normal. We want to get the virus under control, just throw out more nebulous sayings that really just have no endpoint and no quantifiable point of victory. And then you have the people out here, most of them good people, people who either don't speak up or silently appreciate the talk. They just want to go back to their 2019 lives, okay, when everything was great, most things were on the up and up. But that's where the disconnect is, okay? The elites want a new future, okay? They want the Great Reset. They want all of the benefits that come from that. And the plebs, the regular people, we just want to go back to, I don't know, the government not stepping on our neck. But at the end of the day, when we come together and negotiate, we don't have a shared understanding. We aren't arguing in good faith because there's no common ground there. They want more power. We want them to have less power. You can see where we're heading, especially if they get their way, and especially if shit like this becomes the norm for every other country. The Australian government has revealed COVID-19 vaccination targets for the country to ease its restrictions, with Prime Minister Scott Morrison announcing that 80% of the population must be vaccinated before the country starts further reopening its international borders. Or how about just the restrictions you have on your own people? Meanwhile, 70% of Australians aged over 16 must be fully vaccinated before stay-at-home orders and related restrictions can have a chance to be lifted. Oh my God. The announcement late Friday comes after Morrison met with the state and territorial leaders at National Cabinet. The Prime Minister said they have agreed on a national plan to chart the way back. You should probably already have the plan, especially if you're telling everybody to stay at home and then they're putting armed guards on the fucking corner. I know they aren't armed, but you're as armed as you can be when you're in Australia. Special rules to apply to those who get vaccinated compared to those who are not. A two-tiered society. So I guess we've already blown past that marker that's happening. We've seen the indications for a while, but it's nice to know that they're at least enshrined in writing. In early July, the government of Australia announced a 4-phase plan. Oh, really? With each phase of the plan to be activated once a certain percentage of the population aged over 16 is vaccinated against the Chinese coronavirus, which causes, yes, COVID-19. Why do you keep printing that? I don't care. At the time, no vaccination targets were specified, but now they are because they're making it all up on the fucking fly. And then, okay, let's just say all of a sudden, yeah, 85%, 90%, everybody gets the fucking jab. It works. But then more breakthrough cases coming, okay? Then what? I'm just going to lock you down because there's more breakthrough cases. You can't give them an inch. Too many people fucked up and gave them that to begin with, and now we're here. Now we're talking about what's left of our freedom being afforded back to us because they've encroached so far. We no longer have our heels on solid ground. We're just on the balls of our feet, hanging off the cliff. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm not saying that we're there yet, but stay tuned. Enjoy the rest of your summer. We're going to talk about something a lot less serious next. MLB trade deadline was today, and there was some crazy shit that happened. And as much as I hate the MLB, I love to see high-end athletics, and I love to see super teams come together. And there's no better way to describe the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers are really shitty people right now. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.